Okay, guys, fourth and final strategy, quadratic formula for solving quadratic equations. So maybe this is something you've seen in your algebra classes before, but the quadratic formula says that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And a lot of times people, they can remember that, but you got to remember what everything stands for. Now, this is specifically for when your equation is in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Otherwise, a's, b's, and c's would be something different. So you must have your equation in standard form before you use this. Okay. Now, what I want to do, and I'm not sure, maybe you've seen this before, maybe you haven't, is I want to show you where this comes from, because it actually comes from completing the square. Okay, so whenever you're doing a quadratic formula, technically what you're doing is you are completing the square. Okay, so here's what I want to do. So how do we get this formula? Well, I'm going to start with the standard form, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up to complete the square. Okay, so just like we did in the previous problems where I put the blanks in. Okay, and I know that this has to be coefficient 1, so I'll factor out an a. Now this, what times a is b? Well, that's b over a. Okay, so we have b over a times x plus blank. And over here, whatever I put in the blank also has to get multiplied by a. Okay, so it looks a little more messy. It's still the exact same thing. And I know right here that to get what I put in the blank, I need to take this, I need to divide it by 2. So that would be the same as b over 2a, multiplying by 1/2. And I square it, and what I'm going to get up here is I'm going to get b squared over 4a squared. And I'm going to put the same thing right here, of course. Okay. A little messy. Let's keep going. So now I have a times x plus b over 2a quantity squared, just like we do when we normally complete the square. And that's equal to negative c plus b squared over just 4a in this case. Okay, because this a cancels with one of these a's. Okay, so you're looking at, okay, how is this going to help us? Well, what I want to do is I want to get common denominators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the negative c and I'm going to multiply it by 4a over 4a, like so. That brings me to the next step. So I have a times x plus b over 2a, quantity squared. That's equal to negative 4ac plus b squared over 4a, because I can combine these into a single fraction now. Now, I'm going to switch the order because it's easier if we write as b squared minus 4ac. But I also have to go ahead and I have to divide both sides by a to get rid of that pesky a. So that means x plus b over 2a squared is equal to b squared minus 4ac, just change the order up there, all over 4a squared. And if you look at it, b squared minus 4ac, it's starting to look like how I want it. Let's solve it for x. If I take the square root of both sides, I'm going to have x plus b over 2a. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to square root them separately. I have the square root of b squared minus 4ac over, now what's the square root of 4a squared? Well, that would just be 2a, right? 2a times 2a is 4a squared. So this is looking very similar. Now I'm going to subtract b over 2a from both sides. And I'm going to end up with x equals negative b over 2a. Okay. Oh, and I'm not going to forget to put my plus or minus when I take square roots. And that's going to be plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then commonly in the formula, people write it like this. They combine into a single fraction, and we get the quadratic formula we know today. And that's right here, and that's where it comes from. Okay? I don't expect you to memorize that, but it's not a bad idea to know where it comes from. It helps your understanding of it. All right, so we'll do some examples of that in the next video.